Okay, so for a diary reading, just to prove a point, I am in a $3 blazer. The dress was given to me, and the necklace I bought for like $10. It's a little low cut, so I'm not going to pan the camera. I was looking for like another piece of writing that I wrote. I saved it. I took everything off of my Facebook when I started the journalism because I didn't appreciate my privacy being invaded. I didn't want people to necessarily know like my motivations or like kind of my pain, just because I thought people wouldn't let me put myself in a place of risk, basically. Just because, I mean, up until whatever point in my life, I had been overprotected, and it reads a lot, and a lot of things. So I'm gonna read this off of Facebook. So everything that I published on Facebook was like about the journalism, and it was how I dealt with my grief. And like again, like no, like kids shouldn't go and run in the middle of like storms, basically. But I think what I did do is I talked with the school and I explained the circumstances, and I apologized to Shalala for her ego, and I did everything right. I always do everything right, and I don't know, like I still wasn't allowed to I guess like go back. So I'm gonna lower my voice because I am, it's embarrassing, but it's all to prove a point, I guess. So this is in the New Year email, and I was like, hello, just a brief New Year's greeting, Happy New Year. Whether I'm pitching, advocating, or asking, I do appreciate working with each and every one of you. I wish you all the best. Below, I have slightly longer updates, history, and upcoming projects for the Help Beat. Real good information though, promise. So this was in January 16th of 2012. I am Mary with the Help Beat. The Help Beat connects humanitarians, nonprofits, and entertainers with the college demographic through the perspective of compassion, communication, and connection. This past year, the still unpublished project has grown from just a concept with one interview and a few event photos to interviews with top government officials and entertainers. And again, it's not that anybody didn't believe that I, was getting this coverage or whatnot. It's just, I was like, people just didn't like me. So it was like downgraded, like my own talent and being able to do this. And, as I explained before, a lot of it was just, like patient advocacy and healthcare, and, me figuring out, how to get resources, for my mom by basically controlling the way something was perceived, and that something was myself, because I was, kind of like too young and wasn't finished my school. So like, it was always like, if I was arguing with people, it was like, how do I get them like not to, call out like my emotions in the situation, or give interest to me, or question, how could I know something when, I wasn't finished school, and at the time I didn't have good grades, and I didn't know why, and it's a learning disability. Like, who was I to question someone's authority? So like, a lot of the way that I had approached my world at that point was by, never needing anything, but also never giving someone the time to question, who I was to say these things. So people just would automatically just assume like, oh, that I was a nursing student, or they would see themselves in me. They would never, really see me. And that was okay, because I wasn't there for myself at that time. It was, my life from the time that I was 16, to the time that I was, 21, I was like, oh, let me see what I can do to help my mom. And that was just my life. And, I was okay with it. I prayed a lot. And that maturity or whatnot, like, it wasn't an angel incoming about that maturity. It was like a choice that I made because, I was being a little bratty, and I'm not a bratty person. My mom wasn't a bad person. And I was like, okay, like, something's wrong here. Like, how do I help her and how do I, how do I guess, not become less than I know that I'm capable of. And, some of it's like my faith, and, I'm not sitting here like talking about I'll write about the devil, but like, I'm not sitting here like calling people the devil and this and that. 'Cause like, it's not something that in my own awareness, like, yeah, like whatever these people believe, like, may be the case. But for me to live my life, and for me to, talk to God and be like, I can't handle that. I don't want to see that. That's too much for me. Like, I am a human. Like, you can like blind my perception of things. I think that there's a difference in between like what I write and what I think, and when I'm being candid, and all those other things. So let me get back to reading this. I am Mary with the Help Beat. The Help Beat connects humanitarians, nonprofits, and entertainers with the college demographic through the perspective of compassion, communication, and connection. This past year, the Still Unpublished project has grown from just a concept with one interview and a few event photos to interviews with top government officials and entertainers. When one of our volunteer interviewers was photographed on set within a national television personality, the Help Beat brought awareness to our concept to the national level. I guess it was just the Ellen DeGeneres photo, and yeah, like, she did call me to call back the show, and, if I was like a typical person who was doing things not for the cause, like, I guess I would be easier to handle, because you just like throw these things, at people, and it's what they want. And all they can think about is how great and how amazing they are and their life is, and, how much their friends are going to like them. And that was never me. So I was like, oh, crap. Like, I don't want, these people to think that this is bullshit. Like, let me get everything together. Like, let me like have something that, at the time was like, oh, this can be a volunteer movement. Yeah. And I guess, what brought on the train of thought about like the writing is it was like all like very like upbeat. Like, I never talked about my feelings. I didn't talk about my feelings until I diaried in the Boone's Allen Hamilton bullshit hack in my own apartment. And I was just like, hey, like, I know you can't read me, and it's part of it is intentional, because it's just the way that I had to present myself to get resources in life. But this is all of me. It's like emotional pleas, and these things are, if you want to know how not to get like, or how to get out of a situation or any of that, like, those type of psychological, I think, moves like were like intentional on my part. But I think the other half of it is like, at the time that I started making them, like, people had known me or seen me, or like if I was like a student, quote unquote. So like, you know, the way that someone thinks. So I think it was a little bit beyond that. I was like, okay, like this person is like smart enough to like be trying to be manipulating the situation, and this for these like, you know, clearly communicated reasons of like, hey, I don't want any trouble, you know, like you can have my degree, you can have it all, you know, just, you know, stop with your bullshit, you know. So the next part is for a truly independent and unknown project where most of the stories have been painstakingly pieced together and advocated for. The progress is truly remarkable. And again, I was like a grief-stricken, angry person. I was angry a lot about a lot, but it's not something that would have come through because I was volunteering. There were probably other pathways for me. I tried to go to therapy. I would have went to, for stress. I would have went to therapy if I felt like I was understood or known, but it was always a matter of criticizing, my upbringing, or basically saying that, you know, or looking at me like a victim, and those a victim of circumstance, not of any crime, because not that I'm aware of, you know, like nothing substantially bad happened to me, but who the heck knows? Because like, you know, who knows? It's either like my life is like a parallel for this stuff, and it brings up it brings up the crime by just, you know, just it being a subject, or, you know, something happened and I don't remember. But again, I remember when I say what I do remember, and I even said it like very like early on in my writing, you know, that this is what I remember. I remember not being like too friendly of a kid. So I remember like there being an opportunity for something, but like I was trying to read the situation, and then the situation changed. So, you know, that was that. And I apologize if I'm not being very specific, but again, like I'm recording myself, and I'm recording myself where in a place that I can't be heard. So, you know, I started the publication as a freelance interview series at the University of Miami in 2010. Around the same time, I was pitching the freelance series to record companies. Klein's Global Initiative U came to my school. From the student section of the university's convocation center, I managed to get myself and a few fellow classmates on the floor of the event. My classmates were seated in second row. I moved from my spot in the first 2 feet away from the stage and the photo pit. I was in jeans and a tank top. I'm actually in jeans right now because I'm not taping myself all the way down. But yeah, I was always like, why is it that, you know, like, I don't even know, like, I could be picked out of a crowd and someone's like, oh, like, she seems okay. You know, like, let's give her this, and this. And that was kind of like my life until that point. Like, you know, I wasn't like a groupie, but I met people, and, you know, and it wasn't that I took interest in them. I just think that I behaved the opposite of the way that most people do, and people were looking for something real, because like media and all that's like very fake. So, you know, like they would take interest in me, and then I was like, oh, like this feels like it's over my head in terms of like experience, and like because most people want whatever, and I just didn't know how to always manage the situation for me. So I'm definitely gonna run out of time. So I started the publication as a freelance series. I began to think about alternative interview subjects and methods. Okay. So the following fall, when the 14th Dalai Lama, you know, visited the University of Miami, I put an interview request with His Holiness. The request was made was more so made to leverage my attendance at the event as I was in the process of dropping out from the university. So, like, yeah, I was like, you know, I've said this before, like, Shalala, like, had seen me cry, and she's, like, the only person to that point in my life, because, like, I was always, like, trying to tough it out, and, you know, when I cried, you know, that she's the only person, and I'm not, like, an ugly crier, like, people, like, usually, like, try to hug me or whatever, and she scared, like, her reaction, like, her coldness, like, kind of scared me, because it just wasn't, you know, what I was used to, and it's, like, you know, like, people's personalities are a result of their environment, and sometimes their behavior elicits a reaction from people. So up until that point in time, I was just like very, you know, overprotected, and then obviously like I rebelled a little bit when I'm like, oh, like, what, you know, I don't matter, you know, to like the world, like all I did was give you love, like I'm trying to like process like this bullshit on this, and there aren't people that are understanding of my grief and or, you know, of anything, and calling like me crazy, but they were calling me crazy because it's like more like, oh, who are you in comparison to this person, and or like girls would never bully, and I'm like, and that, like, I didn't know that girls bullied because that wasn't like my high school experience, and now like if I look at my life, I'm like, it's like textbook. Not surprisingly, I failed to get an interview, but in addition to continuing music journalism, I've since covered many events where heads of states have been in attendance. I'm not much up on security, but I'm hoping that once the old whatever goes through the system a couple times, like access is gold and not bad for a freelance screen journalist. It wasn't whatever, but yeah. A lot can be said about the role of advocacy, persistence, and providing excellent press opportunities to the development of the Help Beat. But the truth is, what's remarkable about the Help Beat is its organic growth as a good faith project. It's been nearly 2 years since I began the project, and on the other side of these emails, this is going to cut off in like 10 seconds. Yeah, I'm just going to stop it.